Hey guys, it's Kara from iStampin.com. Thanks for joining me today. Today I have this absolutely beautiful Thanksgiving thankful card to show you. I wish y'all could see it in person. It is probably one of the prettiest cards I have ever made. And I have to give credit to, I don't know her name, I'll have to find it, but she's a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Canada. I saw this on Pinterest and I more or less cased it. But it is just stunning. The dimension, I don't know if y'all will be able to, whoops, there we go. The dimension on this card is amazing, and but it's just absolutely beautiful, and it's just so pretty. It's using the Gourd Goodness stamp set that you can find in our holiday catalog. It's on page 50, along with the Painted Autumn Designer Series paper collection that you can find on page 49. This is part of the Painted Autumn suite. This paper is just stunning. I think I'm gonna have to get another package before Thanksgiving. But I wanted to show you how I made this. This is just a note card size card, so it's a 3.5 by 5. And here's all the supplies that you will need to make this. So here's the Gourd Goodness stamp set, the inks, the nature, what do they call that? The Touches of Nature elements. So I'll have all this posted on my blog along with the PDF instruction sheet. So for any reason, if I go too fast, you can always refer to today's blog post and you can find all the information there. So why don't we get started, and I really hope you enjoy this card as much as I did making it. All right, so I've got everything that we're going to need right here in my little packet. So the first thing that I've done is I have cut a piece of Early Espresso cardstock, 7 inches by 5, and we're going to score this at 3.5. And I'm using our Simply Scored scoring tool. So 3.5. And when we do that, that makes our note card size card. So we can fold this and burnish the score line with our bone folder. The next thing I've done is cut a piece of the Painted Autumn Designer Series paper. This measures 3 3/4 by 4 7/8. And I just wanted just a tiny little border showing of the Early Espresso. So it's just going to look like that. So we can go ahead and attach that with some snail. And this collection is one of the papers that's on sale. So during the month of October, when you purchase 3 of the select Designer Series paper collections that are on sale, you can get one free. So this is one of them. All right, so the next thing that I've done is cut another piece of the Designer Series paper in the same collection. So this is the Early Espresso and Very Vanilla Chevron pattern. You can see that's what it looks like on the back. I've cut this 1 inch wide and 3 3/8 inches long. It matches perfectly the same width of this Designer Series paper. We're going to use this in just a second, but why don't we go ahead and do our stamping. Put this off to the side. The 2 colors that you will need for today's project is Tangerine Tango and Garden Green, and I'm pulling these colors from the Designer Series paper. You're also going to need the following stamps. You're going to need this stamp right here, and then really whichever of the tops that you prefer. I went with this little short guy right here, and then we're going to use the Why Thank You as our sentiment. So I've got these already up on blocks, and I wanted to show you, I do recommend using our Stampin' Pierce mat with this image. I wanted to show you the impression that I got the first time that I stamped this when I was making my sample card. I was just doing some experimenting, and this is what it looked like when I stamped it the very first time. And I'm not sure if it's going to come across on video, but it's very splotchy, and that is not unusual with photopolymer stamps. These stamps sometimes you know, especially with this, almost like a solid image like this, has like a clear coating on it. So what I like to do is to take an eraser. I just used my, well, first of all, I cleaned it, and then I just used this adhesive remover, and I just ran over it quite a few times, and then washed it or cleaned it again, and then I was able to get a better impression with this card. So if you ever have issues with your photopolymer stamps kind of being splotchy like that, give that little tip a try, and I'm almost 100% positive that your results will be satisfactory. All right, so I'm inking this up using Tangerine Tango. I'm going to stamp this again. That was it's a little splotchier than I was expecting, so I went ahead and cleaned my stamp really well, and let's see if we get a better impression this time. Okay, that's a lot better. Okay, so now I'm going to do the stems, and I've chosen to stamp them in Garden Green, and I'm just going to come right above the pumpkins, I should say. And with the photopolymer, I was able to stamp those perfectly. Okay, so oh, and you know what? Let's go ahead and stamp our sentiment. And both of these are just scratch pieces of very vanilla cardstock. I just keep a little bin laying around, so I just grab scraps for stuff like this. Okay, and then we're gonna stamp the Why Thank You in Garden Green. And I'm just gonna cut this out by hand. Okay, just in a thin strip. I'm also going to do some fussy cutting, and you're going to wonder, what am I up to? I did fussy cutted a card yesterday and again today, but this is actually really easy. You know, images like this are, you know, fairly easy to cut out. Most important thing is to have a sharp pair of scissors. I like to use our paper snips, and when you fussy cut, the other important thing to do is to turn the paper and not the scissors. If you turn the paper and keep the scissors still, for the most part, you should get good results. So let me go ahead and cut this out, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, I try my best to keep the borders somewhat even. You can see some of the borders are a little bit thicker, so you can always go back and you know, kind of make them even. If that doesn't bother you, then maybe this step you can just eliminate, but I'm going to try to make it even all the way around. I think that's good. I'm not going to do any more. I may mess it up. And then this, I'm just going to cut it out just with my scissors, just straight on. Just want this to be a thin banner, or not a banner, but just a thin little piece. So like so, and it looks like I need to straighten this up just a tad. There we go. Okay, and I'm just going to use a mini glue dot to adhere this onto the pumpkin. And this just kind of hangs over just a little bit, or hangs off, I should say. Something like that. All right, now the next item that we're going to do is I have taken the 5/8 inch burlap ribbon, which you can also find in our holiday catalog. It's in this Painted Autumn suite as well. It's right here on page 49. What I've done, so let's see, how long is this? This is about 7 inches long, and what I'm going to do is fold it like this to make like a little ruffle. And I know we no longer have our handheld stapler, but that's what I used to staple the ribbon together. So if you don't have this, just use a regular stapler and I think you should be good. So the way I did this is I cut both ends at an angle, and I'm just going to fold it over, and each of these is going to look different. So I'm just folding it over and I'm stapling it kind of at the top. And I'm just going to come and do this again. And I think, you know, as I do this more, I'm getting a little bit better at it. So you can kind of see, like here, how I did it. This one I think is going to be spaced a little bit better, just because I'm more familiar with what I'm doing. It's really easy. This ribbon is really easy to work with. Okay, and then one last time. Or actually, you know what? I think I'm just, let me do one more. Let me see if I can do like a really small one. There we go. Now this is going to make the card a little bulky. So that's where the card kind of gets its bulk from. But don't be afraid of that, because it really, really, really makes it pretty. Okay, and so we can kind of manipulate this ribbon, because it's, you know, as you can see, it kind of curls up, but I want to make it straight. And you can use tear and tape adhesive if you'd like. I'm going to use our multi-purpose liquid glue. So you do have to let it dry, and I'm going to put quite a bit down here because I really want it to grab. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it sit, you know, probably for a good, you know, 10-15 minutes. But this should really let it set up. And the other thing I'm going to do to make sure that this doesn't move around is I'm going to put quite a few acrylic blocks on top of this. So just put something heavy down on it where it will set up, and then like I said, you know, probably for a good 10-15 minutes, and then we'll come back and finish the card. All right, so that should be plenty of time. So it may still be a little bit wet, but we can move forward. So what we're going to do next is we're going to build up this piece of designer series paper. Because this is bulky, we don't want to just attach it here, because this will be kind of floppy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use our foam adhesive strips, and I'm just going to put adhesive on both sides and then just at the top. And I found this to be an ideal adhesive for this, just because I feel like this is just so, it just gives the strip just a really nice base. You can use your Stampin' Dimensionals, but like I said, I just really like how this just gives it you know, just a really strong base, like all the way across, if that makes sense. I don't know, I kind of feel like I'm rambling. Okay, and then just one more piece. Okay, and so now what we can do is just go and take off the backing. And this should be about the same height as the ribbon. And we're just going to come in here and kind of hide, you know, try to hide the staples. If the staples show, it's okay. So it's going to look something like that. Make sure it's straight across. That looks good. Okay. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to use the Touches of Nature element, and I'm going to use this piece right here, and you can see how it's, you know, a really pretty wood stain on the front, but on the back it's white, and so that's the color, that's what I want to show. And I'm going to go ahead and use our multi-purpose glue again, and I'm just going to put a couple of dots just on a few places, because this is going to kind of hang off, and I'm going to put it about right there. Let's see. Move this over just a tad, and with the glue being wet, you're able to move this around, and the glue does dry clear, which is nice. Okay, that looks about right. Okay, the next thing you're going to do is just get one of our delicate white doilies. I have, you know, very rarely do I use an entire one or entire doily, so I always like keep the little scraps. And so this is perfect. So I'm just going to cut off just this little part of it, and I'm going to use some snail, and then I'm going to attach the doily at the bottom. And this just gives this piece just a little bit of interest. So I'm going to line it up on my grid mat, and then just come in here and just grab it just like so. Okay, and then that's just going to go right about there. But what we need to do next is we need to build up this part of the die cut, or this part of the pumpkin. And again, you can use the foam adhesive strips, but for this I find it easier to use Stampin' Dimensionals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 3 layers of dimensionals, so 2 more on top of right here, and that should be high enough to be at the same height as this part of our card. So like I said at the beginning, it is a quite dimensional card, but it is so pretty. I hope, I would love to know if y'all try this and tell me what you think, because I just the color combinations, just everything about this card is just so pretty in person, and I hope that it translates on video. Okay, so you can see how thick that is. So let me make sure that's, yep, that looks good. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of glue right here just to make sure that this doesn't move. Just because this card is so thick, I just don't want it to have the possibility of falling apart. Okay, and there we have it. It is all done. So let me bring in my first card so that you can see it's, you know, each card's going to be a little bit different, especially with the ribbon, the little ruffles that you make, and how you position everything. But just stunning. This just makes me so happy. I just love the chocolate brown, the early espresso color, the garden green, the tangerine tango, everything about it just makes me so happy. So again, that was using the Gourd Goodness stamp set from our holiday catalog, along with the Painted Autumn Designer Series paper. And like I said, this is part of our buy 3 get 1 free paper sale that's going on all month long. All right, guys, well, I hope you liked today's project. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Head on over to my blog and make sure that you are signed up for my weekly newsletter. I've got the 12 weeks of Christmas going on. I've already done week 1. So if you happen to miss out on the first week, make sure that you sign up so that you can get the next 11 weeks straight into your inbox. You can just go over to the front page of my blog, istampin.com, and at the very top it says to sign up for some Happy Mail. That's where you do that. And also make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel. All right, guys, if you have any questions over any of the items that I used today, please feel free to comment below, and I will be more than happy to answer your questions. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Bye.